Hey, welcome everybody. It's been a little while since Christy and I have been here with a leader equation, but we're coming back with a boom because we've got two of our favorite people here, and I'm so excited for you guys to get to know them. It is season 2, episode 18 of the leader equation, and I've got Martha Newport, who is owner of Alignmint. You can see it behind them. It used to be the Martha Newport team, so new name change there. And her amazing operations manager, Crystal Shores, who you guys are just gonna love getting to know these two. They've been in business together since 2018, and we're gonna dive in. But first, I'm Linzee Soprani, CEO of Soprani Consulting. We're the top recruiting and consulting firm for the country, all things real estate. And I'm here with my lovely co-host, Christy Belt-Grossman, CEO and owner of Ops Boss Coaching, the ultimate resource for training and coaching all real estate ops bosses. And welcome to the leader equation. So, Christy, take us in.
Well, let's start and let them introduce themselves first. So Martha, so we know who is who. Martha, you want to start?
Hi, I'm Martha Newport, founder and CEO of Alignmint, and this is my second profession. I was an IBMer for 15 years, IBM project manager before real estate.
Oh,
makes so much sense.
All coming together now.
And I'm Crystal. I'm the operations manager, director of operations for the team. I was actually in retail management previously before real estate and was on a different team before I came together with Martha. But yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Well, good. We'll do quick fire real quick, and then we'll dive in and hear a little bit about how you guys got into business together and then get into the important questions. So how many years in business together?
4.
Yep.
And how many years in real estate? Because I know you were in it prior to.
Yeah, we both actually started in 2014, just not together.
Okay, awesome. So 8 years. And how many people on your team?
15.
And maybe Martha, you can answer year one profit. Let's talk, profit volume, whatever you want to share with us. Year one and 2021.
Like year 1, I sold 3 houses by my very own self. I didn't check my profit then because I didn't know about that then. So my sales volume was 813,000 in volume.
There you go.
3 houses is pretty good for a first year. For a baby.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. And then this past year for 2021, we had a closed volume of 72 million and a 27% profit margin.
That's awesome. And I love that you know your profit margin. You get 5 gold stars for that.
Gold stars.
Are you, Martha, are you
My
in
dentist
production?
gives me gold stars. Yeah.
Are you in production still? Okay.
No.
Okay, perfect.
I went out of production about halfway through the year.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Okay, we didn't talk about this prior to. Do you guys have book that has impacted you the most?
We read a lot of books as a team. So for me, probably Atomic Habits was a big one.
Love that one too.
And
Martha?
For me, recently, Glennon Doyle Untamed.
Yeah.
Yep. Our listeners are always looking for new books. So those are 2 good oldies but goodies.
Yeah.
Number streams of income, each of you.
So I counted 4: real estate sales, profit sharing or recruiting, coaching. I actually have a baby coaching arm, and then just stock market investing.
Awesome. Crystal?
I counted 3 so far. So just my normal salary, and then real estate referrals, and also investing.
I love that you said so far. Love that.
Yes.
Okay, superpower. Do you want to do your own superpower or each other's superpower?
I can do yours, Martha.
Oh gosh, okay.
Okay. I think
She sounds scared.
you're really good at visualizing, concepts and creating them out of nothing, whether it be a business or a new project, anything.
Oh, thank you. I would say that Crystal's superpower is literally understand. First of all, she understands all parts of the business and then can just do all the things, executing everything and learning so quickly too, like every part of the business, the financials, marketing, all the things.
I love
You're
that.
amazing.
Thank you.
Two magicians we have today, it sounds like. So if you have not joined us before and you're joining us for the first time on the Leader Equation, we are chatting with owners, founders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and their shotgun leaders inside real estate and beyond about what adds to the leadership formula, what subtracts, what divides, and most importantly, how you can multiply results. So I'm going to throw it back to Lindsay so we can dive into the important stuff.
Yes, so everybody always wants to know how you guys came together and what that looked like. So you guys were in real estate, but not together. So walk us through, how did it happen?
So at that time in business, we had a buyer's agent and 2 staff members, one doing listing management and managing our staging operation. So we do all our own staging in-house as from day one. It's like a whole other company. And then it was growing. We've always grown so fast that we were ready to split things up and hire a listing manager. So I posted the job on Indeed, and then I used the career visioning process, like hired like a grown-up for the first time ever, and look what happened.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about, how did you know, like when was the moment that you were like, oh my gosh, this is my girl? And then Crystal, I want to hear, how did you know that Martha was really who you wanted to work with?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, she was already doing all these things on another team, so it already felt like a unicorn that you already knew how to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
I remember where I was driving on the interstate when we first just talked, and we talked and talked and talked and talked. And then there was another, I don't know if you know this. When I was doing one of her reference calls from a bookstore, it was like a second or third level, so not someone she'd given me the name of. And I asked like areas where she could grow or like I could help her. And they were like, well, she's just like she always like checks behind and has to make sure everything's perfect. And like, kind of like she's like kind of annoying because of how, and I was like, I want that. I want all that. I was like, well, I wouldn't want to hire you, but I definitely now want to hire Crystal. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, and Crystal, how did you know that you wanted, or did you know that you wanted to work with Martha right away when you met her and talked to her?
Yeah. Change is super uncomfortable for me and really, really scary. So it took a lot for me to switch teams. I'd been with that team for quite a while. But I had moved and was looking for a new position closer to home. And when I saw the job ad first, the personality just in the ad itself attracted me. And then once I met Martha and just, felt her energy and her spirit, that really helped sell me. And also when we did our team interview and I got to meet the rest of the team, that kind of sealed the deal for me.
Love that.
Only one of those team members is still on our team.
That's true.
Oopsie.
Well, that's a totally normal
I stayed. 50% retention rate.
Which is good. Well, and so walk us through, what did the team look like at that moment, Martha? Just kind of show us how you guys have progressed to now a little bit so everybody can get an idea of it.
Yeah, so at that time, I was the listing agent, Shelby was the buyer's agent, and then we had a executive assistant / transaction coordinator, and then listing manager / staging manager, stager. So then Crystal came in and started taking over the listing management, and now, I don't think I can verbally describe our org chart, but Crystal manages all of the operations, the whole team. And then we have a sales organization with all of our agents, and then we have a staging manager who also reports to Crystal, who takes care of doing up to 3 listings a week with full staging and all of that. And the amazing part is everyone including me, is a little bit terrified of Crystal. Like, everyone loves her so much because she's the smartest and the best, and then they're like, oh God, if something goes wrong, like, we better talk to Crystal. Oh God, Crystal might fire us, including me. So everyone's just the right amount of scared.
Well, at what point in time, Martha, when she came on, like, was it an immediate, like, I trust her, she's going to have all the things, have my back, or did that develop over time? And when did you know that, like, Crystal owned it?
Oh, I mean, before she even started, I knew that she would own it. And like, it doesn't take me very long. Like, not following through and doing something you said you're going to do is my number one like, trigger. So she just always took care of it and would be the one reminding me immediately that I did my things because I was the listing agent. So I don't remember there ever being a minute that I didn't trust her with my whole bee.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it was a little bit slower of a
That's what I was hoping for.
Like was that really about you, or was it my work I had to do in therapy?
Maybe. I feel like I slowly pulled things away from you, but
keep talking.
But yeah, I just I started out doing the listing management and just slowly started piling on other things, and eventually had to start replacing parts of my role because I had taken on too much and was going to be better used somewhere else. So I think I always just had the mentality of whatever I needed to do, whatever the team needed was where I was going to be.
Well, and Crystal, so let's dive into that a little bit, because Martha is actually, so I said this before we started, but like, while she gets into details, she can get into details and she can grab something and run with it, and she could create, I mean, she's created all kinds of things, right? Including a staging company and like the materials you guys have, all that stuff. I mean, she's a little bit of operations there, right?
Yeah.
And so talk us through, how did you start to take things? What were the conversations like that you were having with Martha to say, hey, I got this, let it go?
I think just constantly showing up and proving myself. I think every time I would take on something new, I would just make sure that I mastered it. And then when she tried to grab back onto control, which she did sometimes, I would just, remind her that that's not the best use of her time.
Awesome. And so you pushed on the bottom line a couple of times, it sounds like, right? Hey, your dollar per hour is more than this.
Yeah. And also, I mean, Martha's just now out of production, but she definitely had more things to do than she could handle for a long time. So me taking things off of her was, important to me for her sanity. And it helped me grow too.
Yeah. Also, that is a constant challenge though, because my, I do get stressed and I have anxiety. And when I get anxious, I go to control as my comfort. So she and I'm pretty good at naming, watching and being like, oh, this is what's happening. Here I go.
Mm-hmm.
But we still have to talk about it, redirect and just be, we name it and talk about it much more open now.
Yeah,
I love that. Name it and talk about it. That's good, because I see this challenge a lot on teams where operations person's ready to own it, they're capable of owning it, and Rainmaker still wants all their fingers in every detail, which actually slows the team down. But the control issue, that's good.
It's coming from a good place.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But it's not always helpful.
Talk a little bit about how you guys grew as leaders together, because I'm sure in the beginning, well, one, Crystal, you probably didn't start out by taking things, right? It was probably like, I'm going to wait for her to give that to me, I would imagine. No? Okay, so talk to us about that, because, who did you guys start as, and then how are you different now? Just walk us through that a little bit.
Well, I do tend to be more on the shy and timid side, so
nice.
Nice, yeah.
That's not a problem for me.
So sometimes having the conversations early on with Martha wasn't as easy for me, so I think I've definitely grown there. I don't know. What do you think?
What was important, Crystal? I want to dive into that because that's a really important place for, I think, operations people to grow, to be able to have conversations they need to have. How, talk to me about what Martha's response was in the earlier times as you were growing in your ability to communicate. What did she do that made you feel comfortable enough to continue communicating and to get better at communicating, so that rainmakers who are listening can do that?
I think my fear in talking to her was mostly about me and not necessarily as much about her reaction. So I think that just getting more comfortable over time, knowing that I wasn't going to lose my job for saying something wrong, I think that was a big part for me. And just growing my confidence in my abilities was another factor.
And most of the time, those conversations would go well.
Oh, yeah.
Because I wanted your input on all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think at the beginning I was more nervous of how you would take it. Mm-hmm. But now that we have that trust with each other, I know that it's not going to impact our relationship, even if we have a little moment.
Well, and did it look like fireworks, or did it just look like a conversation? You know, I think a lot of times people in your position, Crystal, think that, like, you know, the Martha in the relationship's going to come out with all kinds of intensity, which they can, but, you know, did she show up intense in some of those moments, and did you learn through some of that?
Probably at some moments. I think one of the things that I learned throughout our relationship was to kind of read the energy and what was going on at the time, to know when was best to discuss, you know, things. You know, maybe if things weren't going the best that day, I might have a conversation tomorrow. But overall, I mean, I think you've always been really receptive when I've brought things up, and I feel good about your feedback too when you bring it to me. Like if there's anything that I'm doing that you're not sure about, then you always come to me and we just talk about it.
It's also, I think you understand this more now, but leadership is lonely, and trying to navigate everything and figure out how you're being interpreted by other people and all those things without any feedback is really, really hard. So I'm like, I don't know if it always comes across that way, but in my heart, I'm always super grateful because you just don't know so much of the time, and people are afraid to talk to you about things or just want you to be happy, and then you're trying to figure all this stuff out without that kind of 360 view. So I'm always super grateful when you call me on my shit. Oh, are we allowed to say that one? Oh, I guess I did. And we're live. I said I would.
I love that. Because I do think it's really hard. I think it's hard for pairs to grow into that, you know, and I think it seems like you guys started out pretty strong in that arena though too. And I would say probably because, Martha, you are vulnerable and honest with your feelings. And so did you start out by giving Crystal feedback right away? Like, was that something that that was a part of your relationship?
And we used to do actual performance reviews back then. I think I wrote something one time. Maybe, I don't remember. Maybe that was before you. Maybe that was when I had to write things down because it was other people. I don't know. I don't have the greatest memory about that.
Martha, you seem very authentic. I mean, we're just meeting for the first time on this conversation, and what strikes me is your authenticity. And I think that authenticity, maybe you can speak to that, Crystal. Maybe that makes some people feel uncomfortable, but I think it sounds like it made you feel comfortable in communicating with her.
Yeah, I think it definitely can make people uncomfortable because they don't know how, well, sometimes the reactions or the unfiltered behavior. Sometimes might
She's
be
literally the grown-up in our relationship, in case they didn't tell ya.
might turn some people off, but I prefer it, honestly, because I would rather not do the whole small talk around the issue thing. I'd rather just get to the heart of it. You know, we talk about the DISC all the time, the DISC assessment, and I have very low I. So I just want to get to the, you know, I don't really want to have the nicety thing as much. And she's also very high D, so she just wants to have the conversation and be done. So.
And then hug it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys use DISC with the whole team?
We do.
I love that. I'm a big DISC fan too. I feel like it's such a good vehicle for communication and understanding of each other.
Well, and when we have struggled over the time of with the staging manager role, because you think of staging as like you're in someone's home, so you want to be like very customer servicey and creative and like artsy, and we had a lot of IS like very people-y and like, you know, super chill. And what we actually were like, okay, we had so much turnover and so much challenge together in figuring that out. And then I would go back and be the stager every time. I was the last, I was the next like back. And so we took every single task of the staging job, of the staging business, and put it on Post-its on a board and like label like red for D. And we like basically the job just appeared as a DC role, because you're in a house, you're like making all these quick decisions, you've got to track everything. It's a logistics job that someone has to have an eye for. So I think it took us like 340 applicants to get a DC with a design eye, and hopefully she'll never leave us.
Yes, I hope not.
Yeah.
I love that exercise. That's a great exercise to do for any role you're hiring for. That's a good tip.
I love it. Well, and so walk us through what has been your biggest challenge together, you guys. What have you gone through that really tested your, you know, relationship?
We've been through a lot, especially this last year has been challenging for Martha and I would say. Martha actually went through a separation a year ago, basically now.
On Monday.
On Monday it'll be a year. And it was a 24-year marriage. So there were at the beginning, there were a lot of struggles, and Martha jokes about it being kind of like a weekend at Bernie's situation where we just propped her up and made her go to the appointments. But, you know, for me, it was.
Crystal, I wasn't sleeping. My whole certainty of life, like every plan that I had, retirement, health insurance, family, everything. I have 2 kids, and I couldn't eat solid food, and I wasn't sleeping. And then I would come to work.
So I would order onion rings for you and put them in front of you and make you eat them.
Literally, she was feeding me, like literally just keeping me. Like I wouldn't eat food if she didn't put it in front of me.
So huge challenge, right? Obviously, you know, was there turmoil in the team with that? I mean, lack of leadership there, Martha, like were you still showing up and leading well, but then with Crystal just falling apart, or what did that look like?
No, I was completely gone. Like I was a completely useless human. I learned that you can laugh and cry at the same time, which is a very weird sensation. But I would just come to the office, and because we like are so close and there's no and vulnerable and authentic, like I would just come and just be like crying and all, like I was literally legit insane. Like
so
gone.
Crystal, did you worry that this was going to be a forever situation, or were you like, I'm in it forever no matter what? Like, because I know this exact situation happens on many teams.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot at the moment. I knew that I just wanted to do whatever I needed to do to make sure that she was okay and to make sure that the business was still running. So, I mean, I think that we all really just as a team rallied around her and did what we needed to do. And it was kind of coincidental that at the same time we had just hired a listing agent. So she was also stepping out of production at the same time. So things somewhat lined up well in that sense. But there was uncertainty at that moment. And but I think for me, I don't think I was worried that it was going to last forever. I think I just knew that I had to put my head down and deal with it.
So what I just heard basically from you is there's incredible you said the team, I did whatever it took and the team rallied around Martha. What created that loyalty that people didn't just go like, the business is falling apart, I'm going to stick for a little while, but I'm out of here? Like, what created that loyalty with Martha?
Honestly, I think if anything, the fact that she was so vulnerable and that we were all working together, I think honestly, it probably made the team stronger in the end. But I think that a big part of the loyalty is just our culture. I mean, I've been on other real estate teams and we're not, I guess.
What's different about your culture and how did you develop that culture?
I think just that we focus so much on everyone being their authentic self, and that really the business piece is just how we make our money, how we make our money and how we help people. But we're using the business as a way to grow both personally and professionally. It doesn't
really matter how much money we make. It doesn't. I mean, we're just, and we like legit love each other, all of us.
And we just want to work with people that we love and that love us. And we don't, we've never paid for leads. It's just always been the sort of atmosphere that, we just
take care of
look at it a little bit different, I think, than a lot of teams do.
Well, and Martha, like, what is it in you that can show up and be here's the truth. Most leaders in that scenario show up, I'm still the leader, I've got it all together, I'm fine, right? Instead of being authentic. So I love that you said, we want everybody to show up as their authentic self. Like, I love that. You are clearly leading that, but why? How?
Well, I mean, every meeting that we have at the beginning, we have something we call top of mind. And we basically just have that opportunity before a meeting starts to get out anything that is on our mind at that moment so that we can be present in the meeting. And if we have to circle back at the end and kind of help someone with whatever is going on in their life, then we do that. And we also go through gratitude at the beginning of every meeting, and we read books together and have in-depth discussions, and we
cry
go on
about that too.
Yeah, we
cry about the
lot.
book. Cry about it.
We cry a lot. And we do things outside of work. We celebrate together, and we go on retreats, and it's just
text each other ridiculous Instagram reels on our company.
Yeah. And I do think, so that's something that you always wanted to create, that culture, right?
I don't think it's like that. I think you're giving us too much credit. It's like intentional. For me at the beginning, and I would say around this time, maybe a little bit before, I really suffered with anxiety and perfectionism, and was having mental breakdowns over it. Like, I remember a time where I was like, as I'm trying to be the perfect wife and mother and sister and business owner and I let these mozzarella sticks go too long in the oven for this potluck in our neighborhood, and they exploded on the pan. I didn't have any more, and I just sat on the floor and cried. That was my life. And I would work.
Good.
I would work until I have asthma. I would work until I got sick and had a chest infection, and my body would shut down. because I was trying so hard to be perfect. So I went to therapy and I started journaling and meditating and learning how to love myself and learning who I really was and what I really needed to be. And that's been a huge process over, I would say 5 or 6 years, I guess. So that, and then once you get all those layers of trying to be this for someone, or like, I remember just like obsessively trying to check rankings of local agents and I had to be the number one and I had to do this. We went to Family Reunion and they had the awards for the region and people like, are you going on stage? And I was like, I don't know how much money is in my bank account and I'm surrounded by people I love. So I'm good. Like, I don't care. I literally don't care. And so it really is like a game in a way. The whole point of this is to grow as humans through business. And we want to still make money so that we can pay people and we feel secure. And so the business just keeps growing. So we have to have be able to hire the next people. I never set out to build this. It was not some like Dr. Evil master plan. It just keeps growing.
But it's evolved through your person as you've evolved as a
it's all
person,
just about
right? That's why
growing.
personal growth is such an important thing.
Yeah, that's amazing. And listen, and you've got, your buyer's agent's been there for years and you guys are tight and friends. And that, I just think it speaks volumes that people have come around you, even through times where you could have been perceived as a mess and maybe not worth being in business with, right, Christy? And, yet that it seems like that was your strongest moment and you guys have really just moved through that and have continued to build and are going to continue to build, which is really cool. And probably where some of the new name came from, right? Like, give us a little bit of that background. I know we're running late here, but tell us, was that a part of it?
Yeah, so we went to a class called Expansion Systems Orientation on January 11th with the Cody Gibson in person. And everything just like, and in that class, he talked about once you sell 150, 200 homes in your town, if you want to keep growing, you really need to expand outside of your town because you're saturated. And when you go do that, no one knows who you are. No one knows who Martha Newport is. So there's no point in building that way. And really a brand that any agent in another market, in another state, another country could go in like they own the business instead of being like, well, it's nice, Bridget, that you're here, but who is Martha and why is she not here? Right.
Right.
And even just going, because we have such a sphere-based business, for someone to go list their friend's home and then this girl shows up in the yard that they've never met, it's just weird. Yeah. So we ended up like the next week we decided to do it and the name appeared in like 4 days in a spreadsheet. We were constantly like just putting words in. And then we had an opportunity to do a marketing blitz for a local indie paper, like best of voting, that was April 11th. And we were like, okay, I guess that's our date. And so 3 months later, we had rebranded our entire company, every website, word, everything. It was a lot.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
I love it. And listen, and you guys you're moving in the same direction and you are building. And so if people want to get a hold of you, ask you guys questions about this, and we're so thankful that you guys have been super vulnerable and authentic. I know it's going to speak volumes to so many people, but if they want to get in touch with you and they want to send you referrals or just ask you questions about what you've gone through, how do they do that?
Yeah, on Facebook and Instagram, we are in Alignmint, mint like the leaf. And then our website is alignmint.com. And if you want to reach me, you can reach me at crystal@alignmint.com. My goal is to have no email address in 1 to 2 years. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We really do appreciate you being open and vulnerable, and, check back here because I'm sure there'll be comments and people, as you guys are watching this, and if you are, you totally get where Martha has been or where Crystal's been, and you guys have questions, feel free to reach out to them.
There was actually a great comment that somebody said, unfiltered behavior is where the heart is. So thank you guys for opening your hearts to our community today.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
All right, guys, have a great day.
Bye.